Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock, they're powerful, alright. We cover them all on your favorite part. So many movies we can't choose, even when you win, you lose. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other, peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades, movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun, action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions free, come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast.
Hello. Hello, one and all. It is John the First, by the grace of God, of the 30-something movie podcast and other guest spots on other podcast realms and territories. Gloria Angina, defender of the filth. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. Bo, how are you doing?
I am well, John. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm not doing my day job work, and I'm talking movies with you guys, so I'm doing great.
There we go.
I asked my wife this, and apparently we've run out of all of them. If you happen to know any rich uncles that are willing to fully fund a lifestyle while I do work to try to benefit mankind and other people, I'm happy to do that. I'm looking for, what do you call it? You can't have a sugar daddy when you're diabetic. So what do you call it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you call that. And I feel like sugar daddy has other connotations that go along with it. I just need a mysterious benefactor. And they don't even have to be mysterious. I'm fine if they're not. If there's no mystery to the benefit at all, I'm okay with that too. I just need a benefactor so that I don't have to work in my current place of work, but still do things that can benefit people.
Okay.
I'm willing to do that. I just need someone to finance the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to.
That you've grown accustomed to?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of lifestyles that we've all grown accustomed to, Pat, how are you doing?
Hey, great, guys. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
I'm sorry I had to step away, and then there was a couple of other things that needed my attention upstairs. So I'm sorry I'm kind of
That's fine.
late joining the show.
Well, we wanted to make sure we had you on here before we got too far into this thing, because I have decided that before we get too much further into our movie is North this time around.
Mm-hmm.
One of Roger Ebert's absolute favorite movies of all time.
Your name's on maps. Pretty cool, kid.
Yeah. I've seen your name on maps. Impressive. I am actually going to read the entirety of Roger Ebert's review of this movie. Because I think we've commented on this in the past, and I think when we knew that North was coming up this year, I think we've had a few conversations about this and how this is Roger Ebert's probably his least favorite movie of all time.
Really?
So have you read this, Pat? Have you seen this?
I have not seen anything. I just saw the movie yesterday into this morning. So I've done zero research and anything. It's just all gut reaction and
okay. Oh, Pat, buckle up.
Okay, all right, buckle up. Here we go.
I'm going to read in its entirety, word for word, Roger Ebert's review of North from July 22nd, 1994.
Okay.
I have no idea why Rob Reiner or anyone else wanted to make this story into a movie, and close examination of the film itself is no help. North is one of the most unpleasant, contrived, artificial, cloying experiences I've had at the movies. To call it manipulative would be inaccurate. It has an ambition to manipulate, but fails. The film stars Elijah Wood, who is a wonderful young actor, and if you don't believe me, watch his version of The Adventures of Huck Finn. Here he's stuck in a story that no actor, however wonderful, however young, should be punished with. He plays a kid with inattentive parents who decides to go into court, free himself of them, and go on a worldwide search for nicer parents. This idea is deeply flawed. Children do not lightly separate from their parents, and certainly not on the evidence provided here, where the great parental sin is not paying attention to their kid at the dinner table. The parents, Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander, have provided Little North with what looks like $1 million house in a Frank Capra neighborhood, all on Dad's salary as a pants inspector. And yes, I know that's supposed to be a fantasy, but the pants inspecting jokes are only the first of several truly awful episodes in this film. North goes into court, where the judge is Alan Arkin, proving without the slightest shadow of a doubt that he should never, ever appear again in public with any material even vaguely inspired by Groucho Marx. North's case hits the headlines, and since he is such an all-star overachiever, offers pour in from would-be parents all over the world, leading to an odyssey that takes him to Texas, Hawaii, Alaska, and elsewhere. What is the point of the scenes with the auditioning parents? The victimized actors range from Dan Aykroyd as a Texan to Kathy Bates as an Eskimo. They're all seen as broad, desperate comic caricatures. They are not funny. They are not touching. There is no truth in them. They don't even work as parodies. There is an idiocy here that seems almost intentional, as if the filmmakers plotted to leave anything of interest or entertainment value out of these episodes. North is followed on his travels by a mysterious character who appears in many guises. He is the Easter Bunny, a cowboy, a beach bum, and a Federal Express driver who works in several product plugs. Funny, thinks North, this guy looks familiar, and so he is. All of the manifestations are played by Bruce Willis, who is not funny or helpful in any of them. I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it. Hated the sensibility that thought anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it. I hold it as an item of faith that Rob Reiner is a gifted filmmaker. Among his credits are This is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, and Misery. I list those titles as an incantation against this one. North is a bad film, one of the worst movies ever made, but it is not by a bad filmmaker and must represent some sort of lapse from which Reiner will recover, possibly sooner than I will.
Huh. I thought it was kind of funny.
So,
He did not.
so there's that.
Yeah. Huh. Well,
So
I guess. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
that is probably, when you talk about Roger Ebert's reviews, that's probably one of his most well-known reviews, is his review against the movie North.
Gotcha. So it struck a negative chord.
It touched a bit of a nerve. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I believe it also got listed in. He has a book. I think it's like the 100 worst movies or something like that, and he listed it as one of the worst movies of all time that he's ever reviewed. And I believe Gene Siskel tended to agree with him. I don't remember if they covered this one on their show or not, but
Well, if I recall, the reviews overall are not very strong at all. It's pretty.
yeah, no,
It's pretty well panned.
yeah, it's Rotten Tomatoes. I think it gets a 14%. Letterboxd, it gets a 2.2 out of 5. DB gives it a 4.5 out of 10. So yeah, in terms of reviews, it's it does not.
Yeah.
So
Praise Tom, man.
yeah. Which it's actually, the story actually comes from a book written by the same person who wrote the screenplay for this, Alan I don't know if it's Zweibel or Zweibel. I'm going to say Zweibel. Zweibel sounds too much like a dweeb, so I don't want to say that.
Sounds too much like a Zappa is what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
Moon Unit Zweibel. Yeah. Zappa. Yeah, the book is called North, The Tale of a Boy Who Becomes a Free Agent, and then was adapted into this movie. So let's go ahead and give you some of the background here, some of our trivia for this one. Came out July 22nd, 1994, rated PG, 1 hour, 27 minutes, by Rob Reiner, who did Stand By Me, A Few Good Men. Writers, Alan Zweibel, he worked on Saturday Night Live. He did the movie The Story of Us. which, incidentally, he also worked with Rob Reiner and Bruce Willis on that one as well. Producers, Rob Reiner, Alan Zweibel, Jeffrey Stott. They did This Is Spinal Tap, Misery, and The American President. Composer was Mark Shaman, who did City Slickers and The Addams Family. Cinematographer was Adam Greenberg, who did Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Ghost. Editor was Robert Layton, who did When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride. Castle Rock Entertainment was the production company. Estimated $40 million budget, $12.2 million box office, so did not make back its money at all. Flick Metrics gives it a 42%, and CinemaScore gives it a B-. So B- is not awful. Like, the people who went to go see it kind of enjoyed it. I mean, B- is lower for a CinemaScore. You tend to, if people really enjoyed it, you tend to at least see kind of a B+ or higher. So it is a little bit lower, but it's not atrocious. We'll put it that way. Elijah Wood plays North. He was in Lord of the Rings and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Bruce Willis was the narrator / Easter Bunny. He was in Die Hard and Pulp Fiction. Jason Alexander was North's dad. He was in Pretty Woman and Shallow Hal. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was North's mom. She was in Enough Said and A Bug's Life. John Lovitz was Arthur Belt. He was in The Wedding Singer and A League of Their Own. Alan Arkin was Judge Buckle. He was in Little Miss Sunshine and Argo. Dan Aykroyd was Pa Tex. He was in Ghostbusters and Trading Places. Reba McEntire was Ma Tex. She was in Tremors and Little Rascals. John Ritter, who died in 2003, was Ward Nelson. He was in Sling Blade and Bad Santa. Faith Ford was Donna Nelson. She was in Hope and Faith and Murphy Brown. Kathy Bates was Alaskan Mom. She was in Misery and Titanic. Abe Vigoda, who died in 2016, was Alaskan Grandfather. He was in The Godfather and Look Who's Talking. Graham Greene was Alaskan Dad. He was in Dances with Wolves and The Green Mile. Alexander Godunov was the Amish Dad. He was in Die Hard and The Money Pit. Kelly McGillis was the Amish Mom. She was in Top Gun and Witness. Keon Young was Governor Ho. He was in Crank and Men in Black 3. Lauren Tom was Mrs. Ho. She was in The Joy Luck Club and Futurama. Ben Stein was the Curator. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Mask. Richard Belzer.
Can I just say for a second, when they were talking to Governor Ho of Hawaii,
mm-hmm.
and he says something about the fertile lands and everything is fertile except for my wife.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was good.
The couch, and then all of a sudden the look she gives him is I'm just like, oh my God, that's hilarious. I don't know, man. I guess I'm an idiot because none of it was funny according to all the commentators and all that, but I thought that was a little funny. I mean, it was, and then the look she gives him was classic.
I'm just going to say that sometimes Bo will make the comments, I'm not the target audience for this. And Pat, I think you've said that too. I feel like, though, Pat, you are the target audience for this one.
I think so. I think it hit, man.
Yeah.
I think maybe I am the target. That's okay.
That's fine.
I am the walrus.
That's fine. Yeah.
Hey, just remember, a bird in the hand is worth what was that? What did he say? A bird in the hand is worth the grass is being greener under your friend's lawn or something. What was that?
Yeah, it was an attempt. I don't know.
Something about your friend's noses.
Right.
Do you guys remember what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, bless it all. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue with the,
fine. Richard Belzer was Barker. He was in Homicide: Life on the Street and Law & Order: Savu. And then Scarlett Johansson. This was one of her very first movies. She played Laura Nelson. She was in Lost in Translation and The Avengers. A little bit of trivia here. We did talk about the Roger Ebert review already. Roger Ebert actually did have a collection of some of his reviews of the movies he did not like, and he actually titled it, I hated this movie. Alan Zweibel, the writer, keeps a copy of Ebert's review in his wallet and has been known to take it out and read it at public appearances. He and Ebert did run into each other at one point after the review, and jokingly, of course, he looked at Ebert and said, I hate that sweater you're wearing. They had a good laugh about it. Bruce Willis was initially reluctant to join this movie, but was persuaded by his then-wife, Demi Moore. This was after she had worked with Rob Reiner, and he had directed her in A Few Good Men from 1992. And I had mentioned before, too, that Willis and Reiner would later reunite with Alan Zweibel on the movie The Story of Us. Let's see. North is I believe it is the actual film debut of Scarlett Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
First movie she was ever in. Yeah. Kelly McGillis and Alexander Godunov play the Amish parents in North. They were together in Witness. which also is a movie that prominently features the Amish lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little rumspringa in your step.
Mm-hmm.
John Candy. Okay, this one I thought was kind of interesting. John Candy was initially cast as Pa Tex, but he found the stereotypes in the script insulting, and he decided he did not want to have any part of this movie, so he passed on the role, and Dan Aykroyd, who was a friend of John Candy's, was cast as Pa Tex instead. Kathy Bates did not like the script, and she was advised not to participate in this movie, but she did join the film out of loyalty to Rob Reiner, who had directed her in her Oscar-winning performance in Misery in 1990. Columbia Pictures was hesitant to distribute North due to some perceived offensive stereotypes. Only after Rob Reiner secured co-financing from New Line Cinema did Columbia agree to distribute it. And then the last thing I had here was Scarlett Johansson actually said, even though the film had a kind of a poor reception to it, she described her whole experience working on the movie as magical, quote-unquote magical, and said that it had a very positive impact on her as a young actress.
So it's interesting they talk about the stereotypes being portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that I guess I was surprised because I thought sure like all the negative reviews would have been that. You know what I'm saying? And I could see that. Like you look at it and it's just like, okay, this is pretty ugh. However, that being said, I think you do have people playing indigenous peoples that aren't. And that's now like when we look back on that, that's problematic. But but in the review, Roger Ebert's review, I don't think that was like the cornerstone of it, which like I could understand. And I would think that there was other movies that we've reviewed that almost take those stereotypes even a little bit further, right? That don't get panned in it. But I could totally see like John Candy's point, like, it does take a look at things and you have to approach it with a sense of humor. Because it could be offensive, I guess. I mean, unless I'm missing it. And again, if I'm missing something, then let me know. But it seems like everybody got teased. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it seemed like it pointed fun at everybody, which doesn't necessarily make it right. But I guess I was surprised, excuse me, in hearing the negative reviews, because I thought sure that those negative reviews would have centered on that, right? Like making fun of people or pointing out certain ethnic groups or whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. So I find that curious. I do see what they're saying though, where it does poke fun, and like the question is, does it go too far? Does it go over the top?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, anyways,
we'll dig into some of that. All right. In a world where a young boy can choose his own parents, North embarks on a global adventure to find the perfect family, guided by a wise Easter bunny and trailed by a cunning advisor. Will North find his true north, or will it all go south and realize that his real home was right where he started?
Ask me about jeans, please. I grew up on jeans.
From Rob Reiner
Pants, that's
comes
what
a
I
new
know.
comedy about a kid named North.
The one thing that we cannot control in this life is who our parents are. You felt the hand, you're stuck with it.
You need new parents and you need them now. You got a lawyer?
Let's get cracking. I rule in favor of the plaintiff.
Yes!
There wasn't either plan, let my people go.
Hey, that's a court of law. However, if he is not physically in the arms of either his new parents or his original parents by noon on Labor Day, he will be remanded to an orphanage.
Who are you?
I'm North.
See your name on maps. Very impressive.
Now he's setting out across the globe in search of parents who are generous.
Everything I own's the biggest and the best. That's why we'd like you to become our son.
Have you ever been an Easter bunny?
Easter Bunny.
Parents who will educate him.
Tuma farahi sana umafik. I lived here. Not sure I get much homework done.
Parents who will respect him.
Our son, North!
What is that?
Parents who are warm.
Here you go, North. Our steak dish, Eskimo pie.
Hey, That's you.
Oh, it's not.
Parents who have style.
Give him the emperor cut.
Parents who have taste. Parents who have old-fashioned values.
Hang in there, kid. You'll find what you're looking for.
But his real parents aren't taking this lying down.
Dad, I thought you looked familiar.
Of course I look familiar. I'm almost famous.
Elijah Wood, Dan Aykroyd, Reba McEntire, Kathy Bates, Graham Greene, Alan Arkin, Kelly McGillis, Alexander Goodenow, John Lovitz, Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis.
What are you? Some kind of guardian angel?
An Easter bunny.
North.
All right, feeling unvalued, North, who is skilled in academics, sports, and drama, feels neglected by his parents despite his achievements. But, I mean, his dad, if anybody knows pants, his dad knows pants.
He knows pants.
He knows pants. He does find solace in a living room display at a mall and goes there to think from time to time and vents to the Easter Bunny about his feelings of neglect. Encouraged by his friend Winchell, North decides to legally divorce his parents, so he hires Arthur Belt, an ambulance-chasing lawyer, to file the papers. The court grants his petition, leaving his parents catatonic with shock. His first stop on this world tour is the Texas adventure, and I don't have the music to play, do I? Ah, man, I was going to play the Lord of the Rings music because he was going to go on a
quest,
on a little quest,
if you
a
will.
little journey, if you will. So Frodo basically goes out in search of new parents and begins his search in the land of Texas with Ma and Pa Tex, who want to mold him in a replacement for their deceased son, Buck, which, by the way, anything you can fault this movie for, stereotypes, things like that, fine. The one thing you can't fault them for is they picked the absolute perfect name for a child from Texas.
Oh, Buck.
I cannot tell you the number of people that I knew named Buck. Highly accurate. Disheartened by my dad actually had a dog named Buck, too. Disheartened by their intentions to change him, North decides to move on with advice from Gabby, the cowboy, who also portrays the Easter Bunny. They also want to fatten him up. Like, they're bringing him a bunch of food, and I don't know. I was watching that scene. I don't think I had a problem with it. Feel free.
Right.
Let's see. He goes to Hawaii. The governor and Mrs. Ho try to use North to promote tourism, which involves a little bit of an embarrassing ad campaign.
The amount of times they made that poor actor say crack in that scene.
Yeah.
It was, at some point, it got a little ridiculous.
A little bit. Yeah.
I understand what's happening, but come on.
Yeah. Pat, I do know that you enjoyed this scene because of the line of, yes, we have all of this fertile land. The only thing that is not fertile is my wife.
It's Mrs. Ho.
It's Mrs. Ho.
It was so bad.
It was really bad. And again, my God, I want to be sensitive, and I don't want so just if I crossed the line by saying that's funny, I'm sorry, but just that her reaction was just like, dude, you jerk. Oh well. It was just the delivery that really brought that home. That cracked me up.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also say, you see, can I also say that I love the song and dance scene in Texas? I thought that was classic. I thought that was awesome.
Would you? So here's a question before we move on to the other stuff. Would you have wanted this entire movie to be a musical?
No,
okay.
I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have fit with everything. But I thought that scene was super effective.
Okay. Yeah.
And I love the I just, like I said, I it is caricatures, but that was kind of part of it, right? Isn't that kind of what they were going for? I mean, if it was offensive, then I'm terribly sorry.
Well, you didn't write it.
There it is. But well, anyways, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt the opening scroll too much.
Okay. All right. In Alaska, North is disturbed by his prospective parents' calm acceptance of sending their grandfather out to sea on an ice floe, practice that deeply unsettles him. This is, before we even get into our deep thoughts part of this, I will say that the Alaska part deeply unsettled me, mostly because it was Kathy Bates and Brownface, which I kind of feel like, because sometimes we look at it and we go, well, but that was back in the 90s, and they didn't know any. Yeah, they did. If John Candy turned down this movie because he felt the stuff was insulting, I'm like, yeah, no, I think it probably was wrong to do that even back then. So
yeah.
That's the part that deeply unsettled me about especially the Alaskan storyline.
No, I agree. And I again, I'm kind of surprised that like that wasn't more of a cornerstone of the reviews, the negative review.
Right. Yeah.
And I will say too, and this gets into some of the stuff that we've talked about with other movies, some of the more notable disagreements and debates on the podcast that we've had over the years. But that's the thing too, is why is it the indigenous peoples that have this ritual where someone is being put out to sea? You know what I'm saying? Like that's problematic, right? I mean, that's, like when you look at the thing with Texas, and I mean, like you point out where I'm wrong. I mean that honestly, that seemed to be a little bit more poking good-natured fun. But when you, the thing in Alaska where that becomes like, like you said, the having Kathy Bates and Brownface, and that's not good.
It's a bit of a problem. I will say, much like you, there were a couple of times here and there where I did find, even though some of the scenes, it was like, oh, okay, this is kind of, I'm feeling a little uneasy here, but we'll move on with it. The one scene that I did think was kind of funny was when he does land in Africa, and he is just like, his eyes just do not move, and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't live here. I'd never get anything done.
To which I wanted to say, you're a kid. What do you need to get done?
Right. Yeah. You're already academically advanced, so just, I don't know, ride your own coattails for a bit.
Right.
Yeah. North's quest continues to inspire children around the world to seek new parents, which enriches Arthur and Winchell, who are thriving on this chaos. His journey, North's journey continues across several different countries, an Amish spot where he stays for like a hot 10 seconds, maybe.
Floor it.
Floor it. I feel like I remember that from the trailer.
Yeah.
He does seem to find perfect parents in the Nelsons, who provide the attention that he wants, the appreciation he craves, but he still feels unsatisfied, which leads him to flee to New York City. He does receive a doctored videotape that makes it seem like his parents do not want him, even though they have been catatonic this entire time, but this is because of Arthur and Winchell kind of doing their thing to stir the pot a bit.
Little trick of the editing room.
They fixed it in post. Yeah.
Some shenanigans, if you will.
This is where, I know this is verging a bit into the deep thoughts, but this is a little bit of where it started to lose me a bit on the fun-loving nature of the movie. The assassination plot. So, as North resolves to return to his original parents, Winchell and Arthur, fearing the loss of this very profitable scheme they've got going, plot to assassinate him to prevent other children from returning to their parents. This is where I had a bit of a moment, and I was like, wait, what? Hold on. I thought this was like a comedy. And granted, it can still be a comedy with a little kind of like, I don't know if these words go together, a good-natured assassination plot. If one can be called good-natured assassination plots.
Sure you can.
Sure. So I don't know. That to me was just kind of a weird part of the movie. Like there were stakes introduced that I didn't feel like had ever even been considered up to this point. I know. I had the same problem.
Why? Why did you do that?
I'm sorry. Because it's
uncool, bro.
I don't know.
Uncool.
I don't. There was food involved in this movie, and one of the three questions is food related. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
You
Well,
should.
It fits with my. It fits with the name I want to call this movie instead of North. I want to call this movie Eat, Pray, Stereotype.
There you go.
Because I feel like that's what we're doing here. But the food. I just want to go back to the Texas part.
Right.
I don't need them to. I mean, the song is fun. I don't need them to sing the song, but if they want to keep bringing food, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no one told you to stop with the food. Solo affumato.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of Homer Simpson when they go to the fair and they've got the Tower of Babel ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, build it to the sky. But I said to the sky.
To the sky.
At the climax of the movie, as an assassin takes aim at North, he wakes up in the mall, realizing his entire adventure was a dream. He is reassured by the appearance of the Easter Bunny. How many times can you say that? Hinting at some deeper truth to his journey. He returns home where his worried parents warmly welcome him, and despite the ordeal having been a dream, North finds Gabby's bullet-marked silver dollar in his pocket, suggesting some elements of his dream might have carried over into reality, and he appreciates his parents' love more deeply than he had before. That is the movie in major moments. And now we're going to jump into some deep thoughts.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot. Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. So, Pat, you've already said you enjoyed this one.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I'm going to say it was... I enjoyed revisiting a movie that I thought was fun when I was a kid. What do I want to say without...
I do want to add one thing. I enjoyed it, but I've got to put the caveat in there. I did feel like there were problematic elements.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There was stuff where it was like, ooh, my reaction to it.
Yeah.
Again, I think, boy, my gosh, there's so many things that are like, I'm verbal coding when I say this, but it's like, there were some of the things that was kind of poking good-natured fun.
Yeah.
There were some of the things that was just like, yeah, we shouldn't do that. And so I can see it for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just want to make sure I give my whole review there. But go ahead and say the thing that you were figuring out how to say.
I'm glad you got your whole out there, so thank you. My take on this is that as a kid, I thought this movie was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched this since I was a kid. So this is my first time watching it in probably 30-ish years. And watching it this time around, the enjoyment I had watching it was, yeah, I remember when I was a kid. I thought that was funny. That's nice. But watching it this time as an adult, there were just too many problematic things with this movie that I spent almost the entire time just either cringing or what is it before you cringe? Is there like a term for like the pre-puckering of your face? I was pre-puckered a lot. We'll put it that way. Like I was in anticipation of cringing.
I was going to say just in anticipation of what they were about to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I could, but at different times I was like, I remember thinking that was funny as a kid, and not like in a bad-natured way. I was like, hey, as a kid, I really enjoyed this part. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm just like, oh God, what's gonna come next?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I enjoyed it this time. I enjoyed allowing myself some nostalgia.
Okay.
We'll put it that way. Did I enjoy the movie itself? No. Would I have liked to have taken out most of the scenes with the little Star Trek The Next Generation slickback kid and John Lovitz? Probably. I probably could have done without all those scenes. They were just obnoxious.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Bo, how about you?
So, I went back and forth on this one a lot, more than I'd like to admit. I started off sort of being like, oh my God, I want to smack this kid. He's a little punk. I'm special. I'm above average. I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, no. You think very highly of yourself, don't you, Dr.
Wow. Okay.
Dr. Jones?
Quick warning to anybody that went to school with Bo. He is Steve Buscemi in the scene where he's got the list up on his wall and he's putting on the lipstick. Yeah, that's Bo.
Wait, time out. I couldn't help but keep thinking, like, dude, really? Like, that's where you're going to go? So I had problems with that. And then I had problems with some of the stereotypes. But then, as we've said, there were some amusing moments. The scene in Hawaii, the Texas folks that were almost fattening him up like the prize heifer.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
So it has some stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
My question, Bo, if I interrupted you, I apologize.
No. Please.
My question is, what was the purpose behind the movie? Like, was it a commentary? Was it just comedy? Like, what was the overall goal that was had with this?
And that, I think, is a great question, because I think it changes the way you look at the movie depending on what those goals were.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I feel like I always struggle with this because it's Rob Reiner, so I want it to be that slightly satirical, maybe slightly, underhanded way of making a point, because I feel like that's what he can do if he wants to. But I'm not sure. Is he trying to say, your parents are your parents and they're the only parents you get kind of thing? Or is he trying to say that, is he poking fun at the old saying, it's always on the wall of the barber shops or the old lunch counters, hire a teenager while they still know everything. Is he poking fun at that? Maybe. I think that's part of the reason this movie gets panned a lot, is I'm not sure anyone knows what he's trying to say.
I will say that when it took the direction of suddenly all the parents were like trying to keep the kids happy, because God forbid if the kids weren't happy, right? I'm like, well, that hits a little bit close to home.
Yeah, I mean, you do see a lot of that these days, don't you?
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting, but again, it doesn't get wrapped up, right? It doesn't leave you with, I don't know if it's commentary, because you don't know, okay, well, which side are we going down on it, right? The slick back hair kid and the John Lovitz character, which I just have to say that the fact that he came burning up in his beater of a car, literally chasing an ambulance,
outstanding.
Was that was pretty funny.
You mean the ambulance chasing thing?
Yeah, I just followed him for the lights or whatever. But but that was something that it was like, okay, well, what was the purpose of that? Like, finish the thought. What's the commentary? What are we supposed to see? And maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe it's just meant to be humorous. And, it's like a shallow kind of plot thread. And that was the problem with him waking up from the dream, is you're kind of like waking up from the dream. And it's sort of like, like you guys razzed me with the never ending story. Okay, so what happened? Did it happen or did it not happen? Did the dragon eat the bullies or not? Right? Like, they don't tie all those pieces together, which I think would have just kind of helped extend a little bit more.
I think they just needed a rug to tie the room together. It's really what the whole movie's missing.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. Well, that's just like your opinion, Bo.
Yes, it is.
I did read, actually, here, I had pulled up something that I'd been reading earlier, and I wanted to read this line to you and see what you think about this. This is a blog called 366weirdmovies.com, and they had a review of this, and I want to read this one particular sentence and see if this resonates or if you think that they're off base. Comedy is what this movie has in short supply. It tries relentlessly, but the best it gets is silly, and at its worst, it is mean-spirited, offensive, and vulgar. And here, I'm curious about this point, too. This just like a sentence or two later. It says, we come to the biggest flaw of this movie. How do we show that each family the kid tries to live with is not a good fit? Why? By picking every stereotype of race and culture around the world, of course. So that might be part of my problem with it. I mean, I think I disagree that comedy is in short supply in this movie. Yes, a lot of the jokes are silly. Some of them are a little verging on the mean-spirited, but I don't think I'd say there's never any comedy. There is, but I do kind of like the point where they say the biggest flaw with the movie is how do we show that these families aren't a good fit? For the most part, it's by exploiting stereotypes of race and culture. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm like, that I think that puts into words why I cringed so much at this movie as an adult. I think that's why, because those are the reasons they give for why this family's not a good fit. Now, some of those not entirely, like the Hawaiian family, it was because they wanted to put his butt on a billboard.
His crack.
Right. I'm sorry, his crack.
Don't forget,
yes,
his crack.
Crack. Yes. They had a crack team of advertisers come up with that one.
Long discussions about the boy's crack.
Yes. Which, oddly enough, is going to fit into my answer to one of the 3 questions later on.
Ooh. Little preview there.
Yes. It's someone will be the butt of the joke.
Ba-dum-bum.
I think that statement that you read, I think that is accurate.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's, I think that is inherent. That's the problems that are inherent to it. Was the Texas family, they were trying to replace their son, right? So was that playing on stereotypes the reason why he didn't fit in with the family?
I'm wondering, well, for that one, I think the stereotype is they are big and bombastic and they overeat.
Okay.
Like that's kind of what I take from that. And having lived in Texas, it's not inaccurate. Entirely.
Well, again, and this gets into a bigger discussion, right? And this kind of is my ongoing one with comedy. Where do we draw the line where it's poking good-natured fun /
Yeah.
It's funny because I going on a tangent, my son was talking about drum set or something like that. Or I don't know what he was. He's a drummer, and he was talking about adding drum set to a piece of music, or there was something. I'm like, oh, you know what? I wonder if he's ready. And I showed him the Dave Chappelle sketch where they talked about how different ethnic groups respond to different instruments.
Uh-huh.
Have you guys ever seen this?
I don't think so.
I don't think I have. I'm intrigued.
It's like, we'll have to watch it later, but I mean, it's like, it's a 2-parter, and it's like, it's what happens when there's a bunch of people that are white, and all of a sudden some guy starts playing electric guitar. And then all of a sudden they just end up like a pseudo mosh pit, right? They just start headbanging. Then he tries that somewhere else where it's primarily African-American, and the reaction is very negative till they start playing drum set. Then everyone starts rocking out. And then when the Latinx population, they start playing electric piano, and it plays on all those things. And I think it's well done. I think it's funny because it's just poking fun at things. But Dominic's reaction was, okay, yeah, that's funny. And he was like, it does play on stereotypes, Dad, but and it's kind of like, oh, okay. So he picked up on and that was kind of a turnoff for him. And again, it's just, you're left with the question, where is that line where it's like, hey, that's offensive? And where is, hey, that's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think boy, and I know I know I'm saying a bunch, but not saying anything. I just think, I just don't know if I don't know if everything lives in the absolutes, right? I think.
Yeah.
Absolutes, right? Like you said, the depiction of the indigenous peoples of Africa, right? Like talking about Eskimo pies and all that kind of stuff. But then in the same token, you poking fun at the Texas thing. Is that poking fun, or is that, no? Come on, that's kind of offensive. Let's pull that one back. And then that being said, how do we respond to comedy, right? If we just find it not funny, is that something that should be banned forever? Or is that something that should just be, hey, no, we're just going to turn the channel. You don't find it funny, don't listen. And I think that's like an ongoing discussion. And it's funny because and I know I'm hanging an awful lot on this one movie, which I don't think this movie necessarily questions those things at all. Actually, I don't think the movie really explores stereotypes. I think it just uses them.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I'm taking a class right now, and it talks about cultural relevance in a classroom. And one of the things they talk about is not shying away from discussions, right? Ethnicity or race or asking questions. And they say some of it should be discussed in an appropriate manner, but you should be able to discuss it, asking questions. Well, is that offensive? Okay, well, why is that offensive? Then the bad part would just to be a shy away and be like, okay, we really don't want to talk about those things. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I feel like so much of it is, let's be careful with comedy because, boy, I don't want to say, hey, I found that funny and then hurt someone's feelings. So it's better just to keep it to myself. Do you get what I'm saying? And so it's trying to align all these different viewpoints for an absolute right, which I don't know is out there, right? Do we just keep quiet and, hey, I'm going to enjoy this comedy within the confines of my home, not going to talk about it, not going to say anything, let's not offend anyone. But then in the same token, you're hearing, yeah, that's not going to do us any good. We've got to make sure we're talking about these things to get an understanding. But then if you do go too far, do you get the chance to have that conversation, or is everything just shut down and that's it? Something's canceled or something's labeled, or you know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's hard to find that balance. And I think in some ways things shift, and that's not entirely bad. People of a generation ago, not to say that, a generation ago, we didn't know any better, but maybe a generation ago, people felt a little bit differently about it. And now the next generation, that generation's kids are saying, hey, you maybe tolerated that back then, but I don't want to tolerate that anymore, right? So now we're going to shift what we find acceptable, which is normal. But there's just a lot of forces at work, and there's no absolute. So for me, it's kind of hard to know what the right way forward is.
Yeah.
Again, I get it. I mean, I get it 100%. I cringed at the same things, and it's just like, boy, is everybody okay with this? But I can also understand where, okay, there is a whole slew of comedy out there that did rely on poking fun at things. I mean, that's kind of what comedy does. Right? And so it's hard to lock in on that. Again, I'm hanging an awful lot of bigger macro level thoughts on one movie, which really doesn't quite address those things and probably doesn't really rise to that level of scrutiny, but it does have those questions swirling around in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there is gosh, you start to talk about what's comedy and what's art and what's offensive. And I feel like it can go so many ways. And that goes back to me saying, this is Rob Reiner. He's going to push those boundaries, especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Interesting.
Well, and here's maybe an interesting point to point out about Rob Reiner is when you look at, I'm jumping to his IMDb right now, but when you look at him as a director, You go to, I'm going to say that for the most part, he's got a couple others that are fine, but for the most part, a lot of his, what I think of as being a lot of his best movies are before North.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of, right around this time, he's got, what did he have? He had American President came after this, and Ghosts of Mississippi came after this, but then kind of after that, Sharon and I really liked the movie Story of Us, which was the one that Bruce Willis, Alan Zweibel, and Rob Reiner worked on together. After this, that came out in 99. So we liked that one, but at the same time, I'm looking at his list, and I'm like, there's not a whole lot. Once you get past 95, 96, there's really not a whole lot there that I would consider to be his best movies. At that point, I feel like his best ones are behind him, and I don't know if North was the turning point for those.
Certainly seems like a possibility, though.
Yeah. So you had This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, then North, and nothing, honestly, from his set of movies, I would say nothing quite hits the same heights as A Few Good Men, Misery, When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride, Stand By Me, Spinal Tap. Like nothing quite gets as high as those. So, yeah. All right. Anything else we want to say about North before we jump into three questions? As we explore three questions, more might come out. But
I really love the Bruce Willis character.
That is some good funny.
I like it. I like that type of a character. He reminds me of the Robert De Niro character in Brazil. It's just, I like the idea of the character that's just kind of forms the conscience, that kind of has it figured out, swoops in, helps, and then swoops out. The only other one I'm thinking of is the Robert De Niro in Brazil. But I feel like I've seen this in a couple of movies. That's kind of a thing. And I dig it, man. I dig it.
all right. With that being said, we are going to venture out to try to find, I wasn't happy with the three questions we had, so let's venture out and see if we can find a better three questions somewhere in the world.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Question number 1, and apologies if this derails everything because this is the food question. If you were stuck in Texas with Ma and Pa Tex, what kind of pie would you hope they would serve for dessert?
Is yes an answer?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't know. All of it, every kind of it. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Allow me to cause a problem for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to, those listening will just have to listen. I am going to drop a link in the chat, and this will provide my answer. A few years ago, my wife and I, on our anniversary, we decided to take a little road trip. And so my parents watched the kids at home, and we decided to venture forth. And sometimes on our road trips, we just like to get a little bit away from home, but not too far away from home. And Sharon especially had wanted to kind of go check out some of the Amish country in Indiana. So kind of in the Shipshewana type area and so on and so forth. So we ended up staying in Middlebury, Indiana, and there is a restaurant called a Dutch Essen House in Middlebury, Indiana. When I tell you that they had the largest pie menu I have ever seen in my entire life, I am not exaggerating, and I am now dropping into our chat, gentlemen, the Essen House Bakery menu
Holy Moses.
in which they list their pies, over 30 varieties.
Oh my.
Now, I'm a man of simple needs, so everything. When we went there, I love a pumpkin pie. I mean, I really haven't run into a pie that I have not enjoyed.
Good Lord Almighty.
Yes. I ordered the blueberry pie.
As you do.
It was the absolute best, not only best blueberry pie, but just best pie I've ever had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say my answer to this question is in Middlebury, Tennessee, the Das Dutchman Essenhaus blueberry pie.
You know what's funny? I was going to say blueberry pie as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We can daily double the blueberry pie.
Holy Moses! I'm looking through all the.
Are you looking at the menu? Yeah.
Yeah.
The lemon meringue sounds good. The rhubarb custard.
And let me just say, this whole restaurant, they served everything kind of family style. And this whole place, there was nothing. This is just the pie menu that I shared with you. This is not the restaurant menu. Like everything else, so good. Yeah, this is just the bakery menu.
Good God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a crime.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I see is missing on here is Eskimo pies, but
how far is this from Shipshawana?
From Shipshawana?
Mm-hmm.
I will be able to tell you momentarily because of the
hours.
Because of the Googles, it is 10 minutes away.
Oh, hours would seem like days.
Yes.
Daniela rides a horse show once a year down there, and I think next time
sounds like
we are.
I know where Pat's going for pie.
Uh-huh. Yep, sounds like you're headed over to Middlebury.
Middlebury, here I come.
Yeah,
maybe I'll just run there. Yeah, I won't even bring the family. I'll just wake up early. I'll run over, have a pie, run back.
You could. It looks like if you just take, if I've got my Google directions correct, if you just take County Road 16, it's 6.8 miles.
I actually ran along the side of County Road 16.
There you go.
When I was down there, I just should have kept going.
You should have just kept running.
Oh, peach pies.
Keep running.
Peach.
And Pat was running.
Peach.
I'm sorry, Pat. I know you hate that movie.
Yeah, okay.
Pat's like, wait a minute. How did we get to talk about this?
Were we on the pod when I said that the one family member, my sister-in-law Julie?
Yeah,
okay,
hi Julie.
Like I sat down at family. It was family, someone's birthday or something.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I was going to do it. Hey, why do you not like Forrest Gump?
Absolutely outstanding.
I hope it was Julie's birthday because Julie sounds awesome.
Julie is awesome.
Okay. I haven't met Julie. Awesome. I haven't met Julie, but I feel like we'd be friends.
You would be. Okay. And again, I mean, like, for the purposes of this, she is the one family member that actually listens to the show.
And that's why she's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And puts up with it.
So see, now, look, of all the people that are hosts and co-hosts on this show, at least we all have one family member that watches or listens to the show.
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
Yeah, Julie.
Oh, I see.
Nobody in my family does. Nobody.
Got it. One of us has. I see where you're going.
Oh,
now.
Does anyone in your family listen?
Oh, no.
No. Why would they? They probably hear enough of you or more than they want to hear from you anyway.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Every time I make a movie reference, eyes roll.
Yeah.
And you know how people can roll their eyes loudly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't deserve it.
Well, no, that's kind of
I mean,
given.
Let's just, I accept that.
Yeah. So, Pat, you need to take your family to dinner here and then finish it with pie. Because the food was absolutely amazing. Now, I don't believe we would be able to go there anymore because I don't think any of it was gluten-free. But when we did go, it was absolutely amazing. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the pie was excellent. But yeah, if you're in Shipshewana for something, it looks like you're 10 miles down the road, maybe, or 10 minutes down the road. So.
That is all good stuff.
Yeah. So let's see. You said blueberry pie. Bo, what did you say? Did you say yes?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think I liked the lemon meringue and the strawberry rhubarb.
Okay. I like a good rhubarb pie with custard on top of it. That's what we used to have for desserts at school in England. Really,
okay.
Really good.
And John, I'm gonna have to throw the peach pie in there as well.
Okay.
Peach, that would definitely, and then just for the interest of getting another pie in there, I would say peach.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of pumpkin pie, so if I can have pumpkin and blueberry right next to each other, totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2: if you were Frodo, as North is, and you were on a journey to find 2 characters from the Lord of the Rings movies, and you can include the Hobbit movies if you'd like, to be your new parents, who would they be? And they don't have to be characters who would have had a relationship with each other in the movies.
Well, Aragorn's kind of a badass.
He is.
So I kind of like that idea.
Okay.
And then that's hard. I suppose Galadriel, because if you got a little elf in you, you're going to live a long time, maybe.
That's what... sorry.
Hey, now. Hey, now.
I stopped myself.
Hard to do. It's hard to do. Hard to stop yourself.
I like smiling. Smiling's my favorite.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Sorry, wrong elf. He's an angry elf.
It's honestly a tough one because if you think about it, there's not a whole ton of mother figures in the movie at all.
Well, that actually was kind of easy for me. I went with Samwise as the father.
Sure.
Because I figured he's gonna be kind and nurturing and dispense wisdom, and he's got your back no matter what. I had to go with Éowyn as the mother because she's pretty cool. Like, she's pretty tough, but she kind of had to be the default because I don't know, Galadriel, sure, maybe. And then I felt like one of my only other options, and when I say only other option, it's not an option, is Arwen.
Mm-hmm.
Because no.
Wait, what?
No, Arwen. No, I would never choose Arwen as mother.
Mm-mm.
Not mother.
No, sir.
No. I would choose to spend time.
Yes.
Discussing the world and things with her.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Many things would be discussed.
Yes. She can have my axe.
Yes. I agree.
Yes. So Éowyn was about the only choice.
Okay.
Rosie Cotton, who marries Samwise at the end, but you don't really know too much about her. So I'm going to go with Éowyn because she stabbed a guy in the face.
And there you go.
She is no man.
Right. So Arwen, no, not a chance.
No.
Mm-mm.
Too lovely.
Mm-hmm. And that's we're just gonna expand that to any movie that features Liv Tyler.
Indeed. Indeed.
Let's just say I'll preface that with, if this question were to ever come up ever again, and it was a movie that featured either Liv Tyler, Jennifer Connelly, or Charlize Theron, I'll just tell you right now, those are not ever going to be options.
Agreed.
All right, that's all. As Forrest Gump, Pat's
you
favorite
had
movie,
to bring
once
up
said,
Jennifer Connelly, didn't you?
I'm sorry. That's all I have to say about that. Has anybody started watching Dark Matter?
I have not yet.
Okay, it's good.
I know.
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly and Uncle Owen. Well, young Uncle Owen. Yeah. Pat, did you do yours?
Lots of good answers here. I could see Galadriel.
Okay.
As a mother figure.
I could see that too. Yeah.
Be a little be a little intense, but I think that would. And actually, the Chronicles, right, or no, not Chronicles. What do they call the show on Amazon?
The Ring of Power, was it?
Yeah,
no. But you know what I'm talking about. That's young Galadriel, right? Isn't that young Galadriel in there?
I don't know. I haven't seen those yet.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Wow.
These were the ones that were on Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched those yet.
Isn't that from like 20 years ago or something, John?
No. Are we talking about the series that just came out like a year or two ago?
A year or 2 year or 20 years, it all goes.
Oh.
Anyways, I'm going to say.
You know what, John? You were closer than I thought. It's the Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Okay.
Rings of Power. So I'm going to say Galadriel.
And yes, the young Galadriel is in that.
Is a character in there?
Yes.
And then as far as a father goes,
Young Galadriel is the show before she goes off to college in California.
Yeah.
and rooms with Leonard and okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't even know where we're going with that.
It's best that you don't.
I just
Bazinga.
I'd like my cheap. I'd like Galadriel and a peach pie, please. Can I? For fathers, Gandalf, I think would be, of course, the stereotypical thing would be, well, he'd be more grandfathers, right? But I think Gandalf,
But see, Gandalf sounds like a dad.
Yeah. And then
father is never late. He arrives precisely when he intends to.
Yeah.
I would say, sure, Dad.
I would say Aragorn, but I mean, he almost is more like the caring uncle. I know he gets
the
a
caring
bad
uncle
rap.
that takes you to the R-rated movie too young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
to keep in theme.
And I know that he's kind of like an almost bad guy, but honestly, Boromir or Faramir, one of those two brothers, because Boromir's whole thing was supporting the kingdom, essentially the family. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of the father figure like thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
As a backup to mine, I would have said Gimli.
Gimli would have been good.
I think he'd be good. Although, for all we know, Gimli could be mother or father because the beards.
Yeah.
True.
Apparently, you can't tell the difference. All right. And question number three. Question number three is, after seeing North's embarrassing billboard ad in Hawaii, what's the most cringeworthy or amazing billboard you've ever seen?
Ooh. Some of the Brian Urlacher hair ones have been pretty funny.
Oh, those are fun.
I've got a couple, but I'll leave them for off the air.
All right. Mine might be just as fun, but I'm going to do it on the air.
Some of the big billboards you see for the various gentlemen's clubs, as they say, are a little bit cringeworthy. Not my place to judge. Whatever y'all want to do, okay. But the way they're describing the dancers, it's kind of hard not to look at it as objectification. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like,
which I think is the purpose of those places.
Okay, so then I guess I'm right on with that. So I guess that does cause some cringe.
Yeah. I'm going to drop in a link to the chat here because I'm going to tell you what my favorite billboard is, or one of the most amazing billboards I feel like I've ever seen. But until you truly experience every ounce of the humor and punniness of this place, especially through their website, I don't think you can fully appreciate it. Have you gentlemen spent any time driving down the historic Route 66 through Missouri?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
Okay. There is one in Indiana as well. However, the original location, allow me to invite you gentlemen into Uranus.
Oh,
Have you experienced the Uranus Fudge Factory?
Gotta be kidding me.
I have not.
I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
I'll give you
okay.
I'll give you a moment.
That's the best fudge comes from Uranus. I mean,
Yep.
I guess that's a thing.
Yeah. If you open up their website, it does pop up with a spot where you can put in your email.
See that?
And it asks, want to probe
Uranus even deeper. So they have decided to just lean in.
Oh, they don't just lean in
to the whole thing.
Yep. No, it's they're all in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if you ever get an opportunity, actually stopping there is not necessarily for the faint of heart.
Okay.
Because when my son and I were in Indiana, we realized that there was another location in Indiana, and we ended up stopping there. And the billboards are one thing, but when you go into the place, they take everything you might see on the website and the billboards, and they turn it up to 11.
Okay.
Since we are a family-friendly show, I cannot repeat some of the different things that were said within the store, and keep it safe for anybody who might be listening to the show with their children. Needless to say, let's just say there were a lot of the employees there must have a lot of fun. I feel like these people are the ones that maybe when Ed DeBevick's all closed, they went to go work at the Uranus Fudge Factories.
Okay.
Because, let's see, what's the best way to put this in a family-friendly way? I believe my son did pick up a couple of souvenirs from there and picked up some chocolate. I chose because I really enjoy when you go to like Chris Kindle Market or somewhere like that, they have like the sugar roasted almonds and the stuff like that. They have like the candied almonds kind of stuff. Let's just say it became problematic, and I thought my child was going to wet his pants when I made an attempt at ordering a bag of almonds.
Okay. Okay.
What would be a synonym for the type of things that are almonds? Peanuts, walnuts?
These nuts?
Yes.
I mean,
let's just say that was taken even further by the employee that was helping me.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. And I thought my child was just going to die laughing while we were in this store.
Well, you know.
So
he has the right to do that.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he to his credit, he held it together longer than I thought he would.
Right. Okay.
So
heck, as long as he held it together longer than you did.
Oh, no, I was having a great time. So
I wouldn't be able to hold it in at that point.
Those billboards are everywhere. Once you even start to get close to the location in Missouri, these billboards are all over the place. And yeah. Let's just say I knew that I had to go there when I was just with my son, because I'm not sure anybody else in the family would have appreciated it.
Yeah, there is that sometimes, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my answer.
All right.
If we ever go back again, I will happily get you guys something from Uranus.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. That's extraordinary.
That's extraordinary.
What would you like to do next?
What would you like to do next? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I got. All right. I think we've answered all the questions we're going to answer about North and Uranus and Pi.
And all points in between.
And Arwen.
Hi.
Yeah, got lost there for a second.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This has been, and will continue to be for as long as we know, the 30-something movie podcast. We are at 30 Podcast on all the different social medias. 30podcast.com is our website. This month is the next month coming up, not this month. We're finishing off the month of May. Month of June is Udabomb month, in which we have our Patreon episode Cloak and Dagger from 1984. Patreon short will be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes from this year. Then we've got, in the regular feed, Speed, Blown Away, True Lies, and a special episode we're calling The Greatest Movie Explosions of All Time. So, we have got some really fun stuff coming up. I am looking forward to all those. The movie Speed, I love the movie Speed.
Mm-hmm. It is a classic.
We'll just throw it out there right now. I really enjoy that movie. Let's just say that's my constant excuse for why I cannot drive less than 55 miles an hour.
You mean it's not Sammy Hagar?
No, it is Sammy Hagar too. Like between Sammy Hagar and Speed, I can't drive 55 or lower. Otherwise, I'm going to blow up. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for this one. Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I don't know who walked in. Bo, Pat, thank you for being here.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. This was fun.
Everybody, we invite you to join us each and every week as we talk about some movies, whether they are fun movies, whether they're kind of weird movies, or whether they're just bad movies. We don't really care. We're going to talk about them. We're going to have a good time doing it. So if you want to have a good time with us, make sure that you subscribe, follow us in your podcast app of choice. Let other people know if you got other friends who love 80s and 90s movies, maybe are some movie nerds like we are. Let them know as well, because we'd love to have you here along with us for this ride. In the meantime, everybody be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time.
Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic.